He was a Finnish commando, the most feared in his unit. The general said, and I quote, "He's one mean motherfucker that you do not want to mess with."
Get down on your knees, Grandpa!
He fought in the Winter War. He lost his home and his family to the Russians. The reports are unconfirmed, but it looks like he has over 300 Russian kills. The Russians, they gave him a name. The Immortal.
Do you really believe that he's immortal?
No. He just refuses to die.
Fire!
Hi viewers, in this video we will dive into the movie Sisu. We will discuss the movie story, summarize the plot and explore the cast and characters. Additionally, we will cover the movie's production details and box office performance. Finally, we'll provide a review and share some personal reactions. Let's begin with the movie story. The opening text states that the term Sisu is Finnish and has no direct translation, but is essentially a force of unstoppable determination that comes out when most necessary. A narrator then starts by stating that it is 3 years into World War II, 1944. Finland has agreed to an armistice with the Soviet Union to grind German troops out of their country. The Nazis have begun to employ scorched earth tactics, destroying towards roads and bridges and capturing people. The chapter 1 is The Gold. In Lapland, a prospector named Aatami Korpi, played by Jorma Tommila, is with his little dog in an area mining for gold. He finds a little gold nugget and camps in the area over a few nights while Amy's plans fly overhead. Eventually, Aatami managed to find a plentiful gold deposit in the dirt, causing him to cheer. He gathered his gold and starts to make his way to the nearest bank. Chapter 2 is the Nazis. The Nazi platoon led by Bruno Helldorf, played by Aksel Hennie, makes its way through the land, taking with them a group of women as their prisoners. A small group of Nazis encounters Aatami and the dog while he rides on his horse. They stop him and demand to inspect his belongings. Aatami sends the dog to run away and hide while the Nazis start shooting at him. The lead Nazis finds Aatami's gold and starts to taunt him, saying he and the other will take it. Aatami responds by grabbing a knife and sticking it in the Nazi's head. He then proceeds to stab and shoot the remaining Nazis, including using one as a human shield. Aatami proceeds on the horse. Helldorf and his goons find their comrade's corpse and a gold rock that was left behind. They follow Aatami's trail and begin to shoot at him. The horse manages to outrun the gunfire, but they run over a mine and the horse is blown to bits. Aatami mounts his horse before having to ride. Chapter 3 is the minefield. Helldorf and the other Nazis find Aatami and corner him. He spots a nearby mine and throws a rock at it, creating an explosion that helps hide him. The Nazi starts to open fire in this direction. Helldorf sends a young Nazi out to see if Aatami is still alive. Aatami throws a minefield at the Nazi's head, blowing him up. Helldorf sends two more men out to run, forcing them to run into the mines and get blown as well. The Nazis continue their gunfire, which Aatami blocks with a shield. One of the female prisoners, Onni, volunteers to go up ahead along with a second woman. Chapter 4 The Legend. As the Nazis proceed towards, Helldorf talks to one of his mates that found Aatami's dog tags and who knows about Aatami and his history of serving in the Winter War. He lost his family to the Russians and he has since earned a reputation for being a ruthless killing machine that some have taken to calling Kroshi the Immortal. Helldorf attempts to get the gold because he knows that the Nazi party will soon lose its power and the gold would be their way to retire in peace. Aatami runs and hides until the Nazi convoy drives off and he rolls under one of their vans. He cuts one of the gas line to mask his scent from the Nazis' attack dogs. Helldorf and the other stop when they smell the gas. They catch Aatami and try to kill him, but he sparks a match that ignites the gas he is covered in, setting himself on fire until he runs into a nearby lake. The Nazis shoot at him, but Helldorf awaits for him to come up for air. He then sends three Nazis on a boat to dive in after him. Two men dive in and Aatami slits their throat and takes their remaining air. The third man starts to ride the boat away, but Helldorf has him shoot for trying to desert them. Aatami gets on the boat and escapes. Helldorf gets the dog. Chapter 5 is Scorched Earth. Aatami comes upon a town devastated by the Nazis' tactics. He finds an abandoned gas station where Helldorf sends the dog to run his musket, with a stick of dynamite attached to him. Aatami removes the dynamics but gets thrown by the explosion. Helldorf plus his two goons, Wolf and Scorchese, shows up and ties Aatami up by the neck to hang him before stealing the rest of his gold. Aatami managed to hook one of his wounds from the explosion onto a nearby pole to save himself from the nose. The following morning, a pair of German pilots come by to get fuel. They find Aatami and attempt to antagonize him, but Aatami stabs one to death and knocks the other unconscious. When he comes to, Aatami makes him fly him closer to the platoon before hanging him and leaving him for the Nazis to find. Chapter 6 is Kill 'Em All. Aatami catches up to the convoy as they head toward Norway to make their escape with the gold. He gets a hold of some guns and gives them to Onni and the other women. Aatami pulls some Nazis out onto the street where he gets run over by a tank. The women then arm themselves and pumps the Nazis full of lead. Aatami commands a tank and pulls Wolf out, leaving him to be taken by the women. Helldorf and the Scotch meet with their pilot to get them out, but Helldorf shoots Scotchy in the head and leaves with the pilot himself. Aatami catches up to them and shoots at them with the tank, hitting the pilot. Aatami then uses his package to hook himself onto the plane as it takes off. He breaks his way inside with Helldorf confronting him. He starts to beat Aatami ferociously, even using a static line to slice into his throat. However, Aatami waits for the right moment to grab the line and hook it onto a nearby bomb, dropping it from the plane with Helldorf attached to it, sending him plummeting to his explosive death. Aatami then goes into the cockpit where the pilot has died and the bracket for impact as the plane crashes. The final chapter. Eno and the other prisoner women deliver Wolf to the Finnish Army. Meanwhile, Aatami pulls himself out of the swamp and finds a motorcycle, also reuniting with the dog in the process. Aatami rides to Helsinki, where he arrives at a bank. Everyone stares at the filth-covered prospector entering with his pack socks. He takes the covered gold to a tailor and dumps it all on the counter. Aatami, who has been silent the entire movie, finally speaks, requesting large bills because they will not be such a bitch to carry. This is one mean motherfucker you don't want to mess with. The memo arrives too late for the Nazis. When they clap eyes on the mean motherfucker, they mistake him for a harmless old gold miner. Get down on your knees, grandpa. One other laughing so hard that he doesn't notice the hunting knife entering his skull through his left ear and exiting out of the right. And that's just for starters. For the rest of this extravagantly violent and cheerful entertainment action film from Finland director Jalmari Helander treats us to a comedy of deaths, a lavish freshly feast of Nazis meeting their maker in ostrogenious and wildly silly ways that had the audience watched it with shrieking with laughter. Sisu is set in 1944 towards the end of the Second World War. It opens with a granite mixed miner striking gold in the middle of nowhere, but setting off on a horseback riding toward the city stack full of gold. He meets a convoy of Nazis rolling out of Finland. You might think here's a zero millight left in the movies of psychopathic Nazis, but Homelander finds a newish and sort of interesting eagle here with his portrayal of Germans at the fake end of the conflict. War ended with Woozy dressed in Tom's uniform and with dead eyes and creepy faces. The game is up and they are nihilistic. That said, one of them is exactly burdened with character complexity that goes for the miner too. He turns out to be a legendary Finnish soldier called Aatami, sort of that he can plunk his hand deep into his own in hearts to pull out Shrapnel. Earlier in the war, the Russians nicknamed him the Immortal, and he is played by Jorma Tommila, a strong, though not quite commanding presence. Like John Wick in a spaghetti western, Aatami takes out the Nazi one by one. Everyone speaks here in accent English, get off Z horse, which the films get away with, firstly because they are very little dialogue, and secondly because everything here feels a bit tongue-in-cheek in a Tranito kind of a way. It's a super fun entertainment which mostly disguises the fact it's not going to stick in the mind for long. Sisu Movie Review. Set in the 1944 ruins dotting the Finnish landscape during World War II, the deliciously fun violence for the extravagant exploration war flick Sisu is deeply nationalistic, painted in the surprisingly reverent iconography of the prospector. The grizzled bored Aatami Korpi, played by Jorma Tommila, fashioned in a simple wooden shirt and suspenders, exists out of the place and time when he arrives at a quiet stream. With his horse and a little grey dog by his side, he goes through what's probably a familiar routine. He crouches down in the stream with his gold pan shifting through the water of the packs of gold. In it, he discovers a tiny nugget. He begins to dig holes, excavating the land as gunfire and exploding shells encroach upon his antiquated side. When he finally strikes the motherlode, the goals grow in enough for him to fall back, carrying tears of Okratski. The word Sisu is nearly untranslatable, but its coolest meaning suggests an unremarkable determination that seems to even stave off death. Determination is exactly what Korpi will need when on his way home with his fortune of nuggets hanging on his horse saddlebag, he comes across a band of sullen Nazis. The Nazis are hauling a kind of treasure through his captive are not reaches as much. A cathedral of Finnish women, despite his best efforts, the soldier discovered his loot, setting off a fight for the mind prize. It would be easy to watch director Jalmari Helander's visually bloody flick for its exploitation cinema spaghetti western, the 1998's action's roots, which owes its riches to Sergio Leone's films and Rambo, First Blood, respectively. The man of few words character that Tommila portrays is certainly cut from the same cloth as Clint Eastwood's The Man with No Name, familiar to Rambo. He has carried an unlikely resume. Korpi is a former special force soldier so prolific in his murdering of Russians during the Winter War. He reportedly has killed 300 of them to avenge the murder of his wife and daughter. That they consider him an unbeatable ghost. That information, however, is not enough to deter the German company's savage commander Bruno. With the war nearing its end and the specter of war crimes looming large, Bruno sees the goal as his ticket out of the future punishment. In their struggle, the film Pi's body is as high as a Rambo death count, but Sisu is more than its enjoyable cornet. Conventionally, prospectors have been symbolic harbingers of colonization and land theft. They arrive to siphon the vital resources of an area belonging to a local indigenous population. In America, gold rushes have been an extension of Minifest Disney, but Helander subtly shifts such historical expectations. It's telling for instance how Helander and cinematographer Kajal Legros captured the grim Finnish landscape, a desolate hellscape ravaged by caretaker. Hellish burner asunder composed of bodies hanging from telephone poles, the country's entire infrastructure from the ground to its form of communication has been broken by bullets, bombs and landmines. When Korpi breaks the tranquil group around the stream to open the film, digging hole that look like crater and is not going to smash its physical definition. He is a local man. He can be interpreted as taking up the goal to protect one of their country's few remaining resources. The Nazis are of course branded as the colonizer attempting to steal the loot treasure they have not destroyed in their country. It's a thrilling subversion of the historical image of the prospector to display a deeply nationalistic image. When the Nazis commander is gold, they fight to retrieve the previous substance imbues this hero as a near supernatural determination that is as gagged as the blood and mood that finds a home in the convinced of his fate. He fights across roads populated by landmines. He survived a hanging. He sliced men's throat underwater to use their escaping air bubble for breathing so he might avoid capture. His otherworldly strength and resolve provide wonderful laugh, allowing the viewer to take immense pleasure in the gore and carnage gripping from every corner of the frame. Even the narrative's chapter titles simple and direct significance such as Minefield and The Legend, along with the movie's broadening score possesses a familiar dog pursuit to Korpi's undaunted will. The journey to retrieve his treasure also mixed with the plight of the Finnish women the Nazis hold hostage as object of rape, their fate and freedom. Familiar to the god and not unlike the women in Mad Max Fury Road is another resource that imperialistic Nazis have colonized. Like Korpi, these women like Mimosa Willamo have few lines and yet they are not flat character even as they exit poorly as symbols. That's because Helander has cast actors such as Willamo, Tommila and Hennie whose visages are so harnessed they evoke the difficult, torture and hellish histories of their respective characters without needing much backstory. Sisu is also outlandishly intimate, mostly because contrary to its deeper theme, it isn't afraid to be nonsensical. The film holds a kind of dumb action beat and inventive kills. hockey chat fun dialogue that Hollywood used to be so good at producing. It remembers that villains can be fully evil and that horse can be bulletproof but still be engaging. Sisu doesn't find the need to explain every plot point and doesn't mind poking fun at itself. The film creates comfort just by taking you along of the ride. Jalmari Helander has not made a feature since 2014's Big Game, then the most expensive Finnish film to date. It was an ambitious, bombastic, good-humored action crowd player that indeed pleased crowd at festivals, while mysteriously failing to catch on with general audience. Presumably his concept was too high for mainstream viewers to swallow. Though they don't have any problem with Kenneth Butler or Will Smith doing similar honor, it seems too much to accept a 13-year-old Finn boy single-handedly rescuing the President of the United States from an obstacle course of assassination peril. That failure must have hurt Helander has spent the interim an episodic word. His new CC is in many ways cut from the same clutches as Big Game as a splashy popcorn action piece unconcerned with credibility, pushing well-worn ideas to outlandish and outrageously entertainment ends. But the writer-director has hacked his beats by moving one key piece in the game to the opposite end of the board. This time, instead of a javelin protagonist that made viewers wonder whether they are catching a movie for kids or for grown-ups, the answer both apparently confused them. We get a crusty, coarse pet spray enough to take on all fours, which bad guys might pretty much be tamed that entire Third Reich. The past weekend, while looking for a good movie to watch, I came across Sisu, a 2022 historical action thriller written and directed by Jalmari Helander, Wingman. The film is an enjoyable homage to Rambo but with much more badassy and even sweeter fight scene. And after engaging in an hour and a half of action, blood, guts and sheer modesty, I am of the opinion that more movie would benefit from having more scenes where Nazis are mercilessly moved down. Did I mention Sisu contain Nazis? No, my bad, allow me. In a mostly wordless movie full of fast-beating, excessive gunfire and a plethora of exploding load mines, Sisu is set in 1944 during the last days of World War II on a scorched, earth-threatened through Lapland, a snowy northern region of Scandinavia. It follows Aatami Korpi, Jorma Tommila, a rare exports, a grizzled gold prospector and former military commander whose family was slaughtered during the World War. In their absence, he lived a solitary life roaming Finland's countryside with his horse and loyal dog, embodying the movie's title. Nearly untranslatable, the word Sisu best translated according to Highlanders as a white knuckle form of courage and unimaginable determination that manifests when all hope is lost. The unrelenting will to survive Aatami is not immortal, though he just refuses to die. While out at panning for gold, one day Aatami finds a teeny nugget that attracts him to start digging holes. Excavating the land as gunfire and exploding shells encroach upon his antiquated sides. When he finally strikes the motherlode, he falls back crying tears of ecstasy. He gathers up as much gold as he can take with him. He packs up his horse to head home. On the way, his fortune of nuggets stocked away in the horse saddlebag, he comes across a band of sullen Nazis led by a brutal SS officer who are also hauling their own find. A cadre of young Finnish women, Aatami never says a word as the Nazis find and take his gold. They threaten him, which turns out to be a big mistake. The fight to retrieve his loot inspires our hero with a supernatural kind of a determination that's as cooked on him as the blood and mud lodged in the lines of his face. He fights across roads populated by landmines. He survives when the horse he's riding triggers a landmine and explodes. He survived a hanging. He even slices men's throat underwater and uses their air bubble to stay underwater and breathe, thereby avoiding capture. Carnage drips from every corner of the frame in Sisu, which director Jalmari Helander says is inspired by the favorite action movie of all time, Rambo. It was so blown away by the scene, he tells GQ magazine, where Rambo takes a savage kid out of the bottom of his knife and begins stitching up his lacerated arm on the edge of a cliff. I wanted to make an homage to that, but in a more badass way. Sisu is a visceral gut punch that's every bit as entertaining as John Wick, Rambo, Nobody, Mad Max Fury Road, and The Raid, but very much faster in its own level of badassery in Aatami's ferocity. Mental and physical toughness, creative fight sequence, and underlying will to survive. He is one tough SOB, enacting some pretty skeet kill moveness as digging out of his own bullet with a dirty knife, then setting fire to his own wound to close them without passing out. He survived extreme hunger, thirst, a beating with a metal hook, knife gashes, and a plane crash. He also survives and kills more than 30 Nazis, and how he does so will have on the edge of your seat watching with excitement. Throw out their cat and mouse game across the barren land. Aatami unleashes the worst of hell with a super of creative imagination for gory retribution as well as for slicing, dicing, precipitating, and blowing Nazis to some threes is underlying set of relief breathing fire out of life. With copious amount of blood throughout its scenes, Sisu effects department deserved some merit props of their outstanding efforts, as did the editing department. For example, in the scene where Aatami and his horse unknowingly triggered a landmine, the horse explodes, taking most of the brunt of the explosion. The scene is done extremely well. It's the first big whoa moment of the movie. The horse explodes into cuts and bits, and every bit of it looks so very real. Don't worry, though, no actual horse was harmed in the shooting of this movie. There's also a great scene where a tank rolls over a dead Nazi. Those effects are stellar. Sisu also has some great message buried within its plot. The Sisu legend is about refusing to give up no matter what, even when the odds are against you and when death is reaching out to grab you with its disturbed old figure bonds. There's also a message of female empowerment in the gang of captured Finnish women. Once Aatami takes out the Nazis during the truck with a woman in it, they greets the woman wearing a shoulder full of automatic and bolt action weapons. That was once a group of Nazis captured become a gang of ruthless Nazis killing gunfighting with us, a refreshing addition to the middle center movie. Sisu is a mega hit all the way around, great story with an accumulating legend full of no frills, high octane action, smooth and well performed execution, well choreographed skills and fight scenes. Gorgeous cinematography, outstanding special effect quality, acting full of raw, brutal emotion, journey sound effects accompanying action like crunching bones and pooping, a sharp needle through skin, and a perfect accompanying soundtrack to heighten what's happening on screen. Aatami is essential assemble of fine-lined muscularity, quiet, humble, and strong. If I put it in shortly, Helander says the main message of the film is don't fuck with the Finns. Don't mess with the people in Finland. Noted. Sisu is currently available rent on video on demand, Apple TV, Prime Video, and others. Sisu is a historical film written and directed by Jalmari Helander, set in Finnish Lapland during World War II. The film follows a gold prospector who attempts to rescue his stolen gold and defend himself from a Nazi death squad led by the brutal sexful officer. The film stars Jorma Tommila, Aksel Hennie, Doolan, and Mimosa Willamo. Originally, Helander was supposed to work on the sci-fi comedy Jerry and Miss Universe as his next project after Big Game. But the COVID-19 pandemic changed Helander's plan and he moves on to make Sisu. The film was shot in 2021 near the Northern village in Lapland with a budget of about 6 million euros. According to the Helander, the 1982 American action film First Blood 1982 and the real-life Finnish military sniper Simo served as a great inspiration for the film. Sony's picture worldwide execution required of the film worldwide distribution right outside Nordic countries, and they decided to team with Lionsgate to release the film in North America. The film debuted as the Midnight Madness section of the Toronto International Film Festival on September 9, 2022. The film premiered in Finland on January 27, 2023, and that was released in the United States 3 months later on April 28. It received very positive review from critics. The movie places in late 1944 during the Lapland War. Prospector Aatami Korpi lives along with only with horse and the faithful dog in the remote wilderness of Lapland. Aatami spends his days spanning and mining in search of gold. After uncovering a rich deposit, he collects a hefty amount of gold nuggets and mounts his horse, heading off the nearest town with his dog in tow. Along the way, Aatami encounters a 30-man war champs platoon led by ruthless SS Obersturmführer Bruno Helldorf and his subordinate Wolf, who are destroying settlement in their retreat and have taken several women captured. Bruno takes little interest in Aatami, letting him pass. Aatami is soon accosted by a second group of soldiers who discover his saddlebag full of gold, prepared to execute him and his dog, but he swiftly kills them all. Alerted by the gunfire, Bruno investigates and discovers the carnage. He finds one of Aatami's gold nuggets taken by one of the dying soldiers. Bruno and his tank pursue Aatami to the edge of the minefield, where Aatami's horse is obliterated by a mine gathering up his gold. Aatami intentionally denotes another mine to make his escape. The soldiers sent after him are quickly claimed by the minefield. 2 of the captive women are ordered ahead to ensure a clear path. One of the captive Onni volunteered to take one of the other women's place and lead the way. Retrieving Aatami's dog's tag, Bruno learns that he was once a Finnish commander who lost his family at home fighting against the Russians during the Winter War. Left with nothing, the vengeful Aatami becomes a legendary one-man death squad nicknamed Koshai, meaning the immortal. Bruno ignores that warning, defying order to turn around and keeps following Aatami. Wounded and executed, Aatami is weakened by the platoon's approach. With the soldier's dog on his trail, he hangs underneath one of the German vehicles and punches the fuel tank, dousing himself in gasoline to hide their scent. When the platoon have to insect the lake, Aatami flees, holding the dogs at bay by lighting himself on bonfire before driving into a nearby lake. Waiting for him to surface, Bruno sends soldiers into the lake, but Aatami slits their throat underwater and breathes in the escaping air from the necks. Aatami reaches the other side of the lake, but Bruno finds his dog. Aatami discovers the town has been left in burning ruins by the German and takes shelter in a petrol station. Bruno sends Aatami's dog to find his master with a lit grenade attached to his collar. Aatami saves the dog but is subdued by the explosion. Bruno, Wolf and tank driver Stuz hang Aatami from the petrol station signs, taking the gold and leaving him for dead. But Aatami hooks his wound onto pet rotting reaper, saving him from the noose. A pair of German pilots and land in search for fuel. Aatami kills one and knocks the other unconscious. Unwilling to face the consequences of Germans' impending defeat, Bruno intends to use the gold to escape with Wolf and Stuz, arranging for the pilot to fly them to safety while the rest of the platoon makes their way to Norway. Meanwhile, Aatami forces the surviving pilot to fly him towards the platoon. Soon the soldiers discover the airplane crashes in their path, with the pilot hanged by some nosy Wolf used on Aatami. As the convoy continues, Aatami climbs on and arms the captured women. He and Onni commandeer one of the trucks, allowing him to leap onto Bruno's tank while the women gun down the rest of the soldier. Pulling Wolf out of the tank, Aatami leaves him at the mercy of the women and follows Bruno, who closely kills Scotch before taking off the pilot. Aatami fires on the plane, mortally wounding the pilot and using his pack-sack to hack his way on board in mid-air. After engaging in hand-to-hand combat with each other, Bruno brutally beats Aatami with a static line, subduing him as Bruno is about to wield another set of blows. Aatami swiftly hooked the static line to a bomb, dropping Bruno to his death, with the pilot also dead. Aatami stabs himself in as the plane crashes into a large swamp, led by Eno, the women delivered Wolf and the Nazi tank to a speechless and incredulous Finnish army. Still alive, Aatami escapes the swamp, reunites with the dog, and makes his way to Water Village, Helsinki. Blood and batter, Aatami enters a bank where he dumps his gold nugget on the counter. He finally speaks, asking the teller for a large bill, explaining they will not be as easy to carry as the nuggets. Now let's talk about the biography of the main cast. The first one is Sisu as Jorma Tommila. Is born on 1959, is a Finnish actor. He won the Juicy Award for the Best Actor in 1997 and played Aatami Korpi in the film Sisu 2022. Early and personal life. Tommila was born in Rauma, Finland and spent his youth in Kokkonen. His father died when Jorma was 4 years old. After suffering from injuries to his lung in World War II, Tommila was raised by his mother, and his older sister Kiilo Tommila is also an actress. He lives with his family in Vesa. He is married to actress Ida Helander Tommila, the sister of director Jalmari Helander. He is the father of Onni Tommila, who is also an actor. His career. Whilst at Helsinki Theatre Academy in 1987, Tommila was one of 4 founding members of Jomelan Teatteri Gods Theatre, a Finnish theatre group that made experimental and radical stage art. Their performances including full frontal nudity, the setting of a fire extracts, and the performance throwing faces into the crowd. The 4 were arrested and fined and given suspended prison sentences. They were also expelled from the academy, the expulsion prompting protest from the fellow student. In 1997, Tommila won the Juicy Award for the Best Actor for his role in the film The Christmas Party, directed by his God Theatre's fellow founder Jari Holnan. Tommila's character in the film Sisu, filmed in Lapland with a budget of 6 million euros, has been compared with Rambo, played by Sylvester Stallone in the 1982 film, and with John Beck, played by Keanu Reeves. He is also described as the new action cinema icon. Tommila portrays Aatami Korpi as an ex-commando and gold prospector who strikes gold, but as his bounty is stolen by Nazi soldier, Korpi, with a courage mind and unwavering determination in the face of overwhelming odds, become a one-man death squad who will go to a strongest length to get his gold back, even if it means killing every last Nazi in the path. For the role, Tommila won the award for Best Actor at the Stretch Film Festival in 2022. Our next character is Aksel Hennie. Aksel Hennie, born 29 October 1975, is a Norwegian actor, director and screenwriter. He is best known for his role in the film Headhunters 2011, Hercules 2014 and The Martian 2015. His early life. Hennie was born in the Lemmestrater suburb of Oslo on 29 October 1975. In his late teens, he was arrested for grappling and became an outcast in the graffiti community after confusing to the police. His writes and signature were Kiel and Macro and can still be seen around Oslo. Most of them are crossed out or lined because of his confusion. This personal story contributes one of the background for the film Eno. The Convention against Hennie was one of the first such conventions in Norway. His career. Hennie was admitted to the Norwegian National Academy of the Theatre after applying 4 times. He graduated in 2001 and has acted both at Theatervekt and in Model 2001 to 2002 and at Oslo Night Theatre since 2002, where has been in place as a Hamlet and Kevin Som, The Women Who Married a Turkey. Hennie's most notable success has been as a film actor. He made his debut starring in the feature from Johnny Wang in 2003, although the director Jens Lien originally thought Hennie was too young for the role. The actor convinced him he was the right man of the film. The same year, he also acted in the film Buddy, and Alvasommer. The next year, Hennie made his debut as a director and writer with the film Anu is which he also acted for the role. Hennie and his co-star Nikolai Kalvet-Brock undertook 6 months of hard physical training in order to perform convincingly as bodybuilders. In 2001, Hennie was named Theatre Talent of the Year by the newspaper Dagbladet. Hennie won the Amanda Award, an important Norwegian Film Award, for Best Actor for Uno in 2005. That year, he was among the nominees for Best Actor and Best Film. He won an Amanda Award for Best Actor for Johnny Wang in 2003. He was named one of European Film Shooting Stars by the European Film Promotion in 2004. In 2008, Hennie started in Max Manus, where he played the Norwegian war hero of the same name. The film had a large budget by Norwegian standards. In 2011, Age of Heroes was released, a World War II film primarily shot in Norway. On 30 August 2013, Penner, a docudrama, was released. Hennie plays the main role as a commercial offshore diver in the North Sea during the 1970s who witnessed an accident while diving under extreme conditions, prompting him to search for answers. On 1 December 2013, Hennie won an Angela Award, the subtitled European Film Festival in Kilkenny, for his role in the film 90 Minutes. That evening, he appeared at the showing of Headhunter. He did a question and answer section with the audience in the theater after the film. Now let's talk about the complete cast and full crew of the movie. The movie is directed by Jalmari Helander. Writing credit goes to Jalmari Helander. Cast including Jorma Tommila as Aatami, Aksel Hennie as Bruno, Jack Doolan as Wolf, Mimosa Willamo as Eno, Onni Tommila as Skitz, Tato Cecilo as SS Soldier 1, Willem Rakic as SS Soldier 3, Vincent Restaurant as SS Soldier 4, Erito Aplon as Rover, Alina Cirilla as Sarah, Ika Kevoro as fighter pilot, Max Veska as engineer, Joel Hervinen as personal truck driver, Peter Hattori as pilot, Savri Sernin as top leader, Amo Milanov as back tailor, Jonas Bradley as SS Soldier, Nicholas Francis as SS Soldier, Kevin Francis as SS Soldier, Emily Francie as SS Soldier, Jussi Kala as SS Soldier, Krakow Calamity as SS Soldier, Henry Colquhoun as SS Soldier, Pika Laxo as SS Soldier, Marty Nata Lennon as SS Soldier, Jessa Oja as SS Soldier, Petari Papnen as SS Soldier, Oskar Skata as SS Soldier, Tommy Lepnen as Gunner, Mila Lepala as women prisoner, Jasmine as women prisoner, Noura Nivia as women prisoner, Gina Tani as women prisoner, Annie Pika as dead SS soldier, Jormo as dead SS soldier, Vilo Moknin as personal truck driver, Axley Hakvirta as Finnish soldier, Joho Larry Hakvirta as Finnish soldier, Isko as Finnish soldier, Sakari Melnimi as Finnish soldier, Joko Verona as Finnish soldier, Ari Choki as guard, Nikita Mokvich as guard, Jasmine Velches as assistant back tailor, Linia Velpunin as assistant back tailor, Hano Attila as bank customer, Mario Expoquito as bank customer, Tarmo Hosnin as bank customer, Mima Haiknin as bank customer, Kimo Harkson as bank customer, Carrie Parkin as bank customers, Trevor Bilbog as Uko. The film is produced by Mike Godbridge as executive producer, Patry Jocrenta as producer, Gregory Onan as executive producer, Shirka Rotrin as line producer, Antonio Sale as executive producer. The film music by Jory Sipa, Thomas Vinola. Cinematography by Kajal Rornas, director of photography. The film editing by Joho Vilnornin. The film casted by Martin Weir, UK casting. Production designed by Osto Lenlasko. Costume design by Anna Vipnin. Makeup department goes to Jenny Ajmilias, makeup and prosthetic artist. Clara Bergott, makeup artist. Kevin Carter, contact lens painter. Lessa DeHaro, assistant makeup artist. Tati Villari, makeup and prosthetic supervisor. Sela Gililopa, makeup designer. Second junior director or assistant director. Oli Kasper, second assistant director. Pia Normie, third assistant director. Art department. Vodeyard Traveler as poster design. Uno from Norway. Patrin Amelia as special props. Jasmine Viljas as on-set props. Sound department. Anmi Boyer from ADR coordinator. Juna Jekola as boom operator. Wildcat Jala as sound effect editor. Patrick Kraknin as Foley recordist. Valley Latnin as Foley artist. Daniel Landvik as ADR recordist. Visa Marlene as ACR supervisor. Ali Parnin as re-recording mixer. Reno Rocknin as re-recording mixer. Frederick Wimberg as boom operator. Special effects by Nancy Pika Fredrickson, special effect assistants. Jorma Hetmaki as special effect assistants. Jack Hovnin as special effect foreman. Kansa Mandromo as special effect coordinator. Rani Toknin as special effect technician. Mitch Tolls as pyrotechnic effects. Visual effect by Eliseo Augusti, Pipeline Ltd. Konstantin Dimitrov, digital compositor. Stracher Dimitrov, digital compositor. Nikolo Gardov, compositor. Jan Comet, senior hard surface modeler. Ari Hoxin, composition supervisor. Miko Hattie, compositor. Juka Keski, visual effect coordinator. Yuri Kornov, match move artist. Harry, visual effect artist. Miko Monto, lead animator. Andrej, digital compositor. Flip, visual effect supervisor. Athene, visual effect coordinator. Stunt played by Eero Hekla from stunt performer. Jacko Hodgkin, stunt actor. Marco Kachkalo, stunt double. Ola Katie, fight choreographer, stunt double, Aatami Korpi. Camera and electrical department. Joa Pika Eltonin, digital imaging technician. Marco Cortlist, aerial cinematography. Ann Kitterstrom, first assistance camera. Timo Leaka, underwater director of photography. Neely Neymon, second assistance camera. Ipo Nasi, second assistance camera. Michael Paulus, playback operator. Johnny Pneuma, gaffer. Andres Prick, first assistance camera. Tim Royals, best boy grip. Aki Resporo, key grip. Tipu Solnan, aerial cinematography. Simkrel Slory, camera operator, a camera steadicam operator. Tommy Stanquist, drone camera operator. Ari Verim, camera operator, B camera. Oro Visala, first assistance camera. Johnny Virelto, electrician. Janana Vitskvi, first assistance camera. Animation department, Nancy McClumkey, key animator. Main on ends animations. Casting department goes to Pia Normie as extras, casting Helsinki unit. Costume and wardrobe department. Anja Bem, seamstress. Helena Hanonen, costume assistants. Rina Hapia, customer. Rika Mentama, customer breakdown artist. Rana Nineman, costume breakdown. Taja Rosnin, set customer. Alina Setrom, set customer. Editorial department. Tumi Gron, DCP mastering. Petrilinus, post-production producer. Katarina Lochnen, mastering. Henry Pola, colorist. Weil Parsi, mastering and QC, online editor. Chemotanin, marketing material. Location management. Jory Hamlin, location assistants. Polly Kresma, location manager. Music department. Danny Axam, music supervisor. Drake Linag, music supervisor. Transportation department. Asipika, production car transport. Fredison, production car transport. Additional crew. Simon Dietrich Deloche, Coach ADR, Ina Narves, Protection Coordinator, Paul Hillier, Insurance, Daniel A, Physical Protection Executor, Kari Patke, Body Double Palette, Alan Strees, Unit Publicist. Insane movie Sisu ending explained. Holy crap, what did I just watch? Usually I watch movies like this and I can spin the movie in such a way as to make scenes of it, right? I think through explanation like it is a mythological moral messages that the movie is trying to make. Or maybe the film finds itself within the absurd camp of movie which has its own reason and its own purposes. But this movie, yep, no idea what is happening or why. I have no theories to explain it, and there is one major clue that actually tells me that this is an anti-moral film, or better put, an anarchic film internationally, but we'll get to that in end. Alright. So the movie Sisu is action-packed Finnish war film, take place in 1944 Finland and centers around an insane fellow named Aatami Korpi. The guy is a spirit almost, he moves with the powers of a human terminator. After discovering gold, Korpi embarks on a relentless mission to eliminate Nazis one by one as his journey back to home. But let's slow down a second and walk through this film cut by cut and see if we can make heads or tails out of it. First, everyone stop yelling at me. Looks, I actually enjoyed the movie just fine. I love action movies. John Wick 4 was a blast. And so he killed everyone the end. I adore Quentin Tarantino. Pulp Fiction is one of the greatest movie era. So please, as you listen this, understand this, the reason I am not over the moon about this movie isn't because of the graciousness of the violence. Green room, everyone, blue room. But because of the illogic of it all. No, the blunted immortality of it is a fighting machine and stop fighting in the war. I mean, does that not strike everyone else's odd? Ours is only in for the god. You're not a fan of WW2 movie where the protagonist is solely is for the god. That just doesn't work for me. Now, if you want to yell at me about these facts and the specified details, go ahead. But stop yelling at me about me not liking violence. Sisu movie walkthrough. Aatami is walking out the wilds of Finland alone as World War II rages overhead and all around. Why is this guy just passing out of the largest war the World War will ever know? Well, it turns out that after killing over 300 Nazis, Aatami had decided he is going to retire to Finland and pan for God. Out here he is running solo, save for the playable company of his dog and his horse. Eventually we watch as he discovers a single small nugget of gold which leads to a mother lode deposit. This is a sign this is his destiny. He has found his quiet space of retiring from the hellscape that is the world. This gold is going to fund his mental peace after a chaotic deployment in the war. The only glitch he is gotta get his newfound wealth back to the civilization. On his way back home, the first shortage of Nazi soldiers have bravely walked straight through, say nothing and allow him through. But the further he goes, the more he sees the impact and Nazi occupation as he meets civilian after civilian hanging from power poles all over. Eventually he comes upon another group of Nazi soldiers that are really curious about him and what he is hiding. When they go through this thing, they discover the gold. Intent on taking the gold and killing Aatami, they don't realize the trouble that they are now in. Because Aatami, he is no ordinary civilian that will be strung up and hanged. Aatami starts the violence with a dagger through an officer's temple and it only escalates from there. Killing them all, he continues on and the rest of the group, hearing the noise, sets off on a merry chase. When Aatami unwittingly rides his horse into a minefield and ends up blowing it to a smithereens, Aatami scurries around the ground, collecting his carrot gold as quickly as he can. And this is the moment, the detail, that I have such an immense problem with, but we will get to this later, I promise. Aatami chooses the smoke of the mines that have been going off to dog for cover. Then this is one of the greatest, most truly hilarious moments in all of the action movie dome. Aatami hides a mine out of the smoke and he hits a Nazi soldier squares in the face with it. Because you're why not? That is what we are dealing with here. an absurdist action movie that just is out of the craziest insanity possible. And Sisu deliver. There are scenes of Nazi hunting Aatami in a lake, but he stays underwater by slitting the Nazis' throats and breathing the air comes out of their lungs. Right job. This is Die Hard on steroids, the suspension of disbelief version. It goes without saying that Aatami eventually kills every last member of the crew that has been haunting even though they were warned by the German High Commander not to continue their pursuit. The guy is a killing machine. Just let him go. But they listen not. No, they do not listen. There is one scene in particular, they had my eyebrow broken in a cocked and fully upright position as I watched. Aatami is hanged, right? But he doesn't die. Then he rocks himself to a spot where he can shave his leg for sport. The screenwriter and the director didn't even try to give us an excuse for his not dying. Nothing, I cannot explain it. The ending of the Sisu. Regardless, Aatami pulls Wolf out of the tank and beats him silly, then leaves him to the women who had previously been his prisoners and obviously abused and now was taking his captive. After a crazy segment involving a plane, a pickaxe and a dead pallet, Aatami hooks keys to a bomb and ejects him out the bomb doors. I knew insane just one more is a long list of insane insanities that comes with the more Sisu. Better job, the plane crashes into a swamp and Aatami basically knocks him out of the dog. Pickaxe and all afterwards, Sorial anyway reunites with his dog and heads into Helsinki with the gold in tow. Now this is the interesting bit. Aatami heads into the local bank. All the other customers run from the obviously insane individual as he pours out all the gold on the counter. And here the audience all collectively realizes that these are the first token word that comes out from our hero. Not a hero boy, not a single die Nazi Vostok, nothing. Anyway, what does he say? This must be important. He tells the bank teller that he would like to trade in the gold for a large banknote. Because why? Because it will weight less. End of the movie, unbelievable. And as for the movie of the ending explained, Aatami obviously wanted a diminution of the money that was lighter. The end. I have got absolutely nothing else here for you, but I will say this, the fact that this was not a moral good for him, the killing that Nazis as a response to their begin in his country. It was just an obstacle in this way, that's it. He wanted his cash, they were in his way, boom, end of the story. And in my opinion, thought this is obviously a hot take, is just as morally repugnant as it gets. Sure, the German in 1938 were worse, but only slight, so yeah, I think I should keep my opinion to myself here. Definitely was not a fan of this one. The Finnish war action film Sisu is set in 1944 Finland and revolves around a man named Aatami Korpi, a human terminator of sorts. Korpi single-handedly murdered one Nazi after another on his way back home. Aatami Korpi is almost a mythical being as his tales of valor and mayhem have spread far and wide. His drugged appearances complement the wild stories that he knew about. During the Winter War, when Aatami worked for the Special Forces, he alone murdered 300 Russians to seek revenge of the death of his family. From then on, Aatami became impossible to control. His vengeance no bounds and he's become a one-man death squad. Sisu's movie. Aatami distanced himself from the Second World War and preferred living alone in the desert Finnish landscape with his trusted horse and dog. He experienced a mixed feeling of disbelief and joy when he noticed a gold pack while sniffing through the river stream. Aatami had finally found that he had been searching for, and he began digging the land around the river for gold. His quest was often interrupted by the buzzing around of airplane engines and the noise of distant banging. After days of digging, Aatami finally struck gold. He could not believe his eyes at first, and the moment that grasped it all, his happiness knew no bound. He started at the gold with a rifle in his hand, knowing that the journey had just begun. The process all across Aatami's body represented the number of times he was brutally attacked and how he always emerged victorious. His wounds can only be interpreted as his physical manifestation of his troubled soul and the cause of never dying. The first convoy of Nazi soldiers allowing him to pass confident that he would eventually be killed. Aatami noticed the hanging bodies as he traveled further. He soon encountered another group of Nazi soldiers and they were hell-bent on finding what Aatami was hiding. As soon as they noticed the gold, they hold a gun to his head. Within seconds, Aatami pushed his dagger into one of the Nazi soldiers' head and he was ready to fight the rest. After brutally murdering all four men, Aatami continues his journey. Two Nazi soldiers arrive at the spot in a tank after hearing the gunshots. They realize that the old man they allowed to pass was dangerous, but more importantly, he was a gold miner and taking him down could be worth their while. The war had nearly come to an end and the Nazi soldiers were desperate to take home anything valuable that they could get their hands on. Whereas for Aatami, it was important to protect the gold and bring it home. His fighting against the Nazi had a nationalistic undertone. Aatami fight in Sisu can be interpreted as his way of protecting the dying honor of his nation. The Nazis chased Aatami to minefield and it ended up killing his horse. He tactically escaped the scene by using the staggered machine to his advantage. The SS soldiers used the fleeing woman they had held captive as slaves to navigate the minefields. When the soldier come close, Aatami lit himself on fire and jumped into a lake. Soldiers were sent into the lake to find him and within seconds their dead bodies floated on the surface of the water. Aatami was ultimately captured using his dog. The bags of gold were taken from him and his body was hanged on a pole. While the SS soldier thought that the threat was over, it was not easy to get rid of Aatami. He balanced himself using a nail. Gradually, the rope came off the pole and Aatami's life was saved once again. He took care of the two Nazi pilots who landed in the area and attempted to shoot him and his dog. Before flying off to seek revenge, Aatami carefully pulled the metal pieces out of his body. Watching Aatami stick his wound at the side of the road to continue, the fight was gaudy yet strangely terrifying. It was almost like a reincarnation, a new body for an old fight. Aatami did not reveal himself at all once. Instead, he built fear within his rivals by using the same rope to kill the Nazi pilot that the soldiers used to hang him. The Finnish women in the truck were confident that Aatami had returned. They had heard his story and it never ended well for the one who dared to fight him. The soldiers who dismissed their theory were immediately killed. The women were proved right. Aatami had returned to take his revenge. He armed the women in the truck and they fought for their freedom. Aatami had killed everyone except the Nazi commander Bruno. Bruno boarded a plane with his supervisor and was confident that he has escaped the wrath of Aatami. Within seconds of the takeoff, Bruno could sense that Aatami was on the airplane. When he revealed himself, Bruno continuously attacked him out of the frustration. For a moment, it seems that Aatami had given up, but he was instead strategizing to find the perfect way to kill Bruno. He tied him to a missile and dropped it out of the airplane. The missile took off and Bruno dissolved into the dust. Sisu ends with Aatami returning home with bags full of gold and his fully grey dogs by his side. He entered the city banks and poured the gold nuggets on the desk. He asked the accountant to give him cash in exchange. Aatami did not care about getting the right value. He simply wanted cash that could easily carry along with him. Aatami lived for the advantage, for the thrill of discovery and at times to fight those who discover to die. He was not willing to go out of his way to help those in danger, but at the same time, if he came across operation, he chose to elaborate the opposition. The fact that Jalmari Helander Sisu is not pretentious in what makes it enjoyable. It is a gory sweaty western about an invincible man who enjoys riding the horse and digging for gold. Even though it is a quite mindless to think of it, perhaps the location and the overall timeline help in creating a realistic framework. With the bare minimum of dialogue, Jorma Tommila was brilliant and convincing as Aatami Korpi. It is difficult to take a mythical hero of short in a realistic setting seriously, but Tommila pulls off the observe. At the very beginning of the film, we are told that the word Sisu is almost impossible to translate, but it loosely means to have unimaginable determination and extreme courage when there is not any hope left. Sisu manifests itself just as demonstrated by Aatami Korpi. Sisu delivers what it aims to deliver without getting into any unresolvable complication, and that is perhaps what makes it work. Sisu is the latest war thrill film from Finnish writer and director Jalmari Helander. Chock full of dynamic battle sequence and plenty of entertaining gore, Sisu is the definition of all killer, no filler, from beginning to end. Set in the northern region of Lapland, Finland in 1944, Sisu spotlight on often overlooked aspects of the World War II. Finland's dangerous situation between the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany, a country uniquely subverted between 1939 and 1945 by both superpowers during the combat that changed the world forever. Let's examine Sisu's significant historical context and how the film portrays Finland's complicated affairs during World War II. Clocking is and brings 90 minutes. Sisu wastes no time setting the scene for its compelling narrative, which centers around a mysterious gold prospector called Aatami Korpi, also known as the Immortal, played by Finnish actor Jorma Tommila. A veteran commander in the Winter War against the Soviet Union, Aatami retreats to the natural solitude of the Lapland wilderness after losing his family during the violent conflict. On the day in 1944 that Germany loses its grasp of power in Europe, Aatami hits the jackpot when he comes across a massive gold deposit, prompting him to return to the Nazis' occupied city to seal his newfound fortunes. Unfortunately, on his expedition back into the war-torn urban zones, Aatami is detected by a ragtag Nazi squad that discovers his gold stash, giving the German troops to use their infamously violent sauce earth toxic against the Finn, a monumental error of judgment that Nazis quickly come to target. Finland fought the Winter War against the Soviet Union. Finland was not officially an independent country until 1917, when the Bolshevik resolution finally allowed the Nordic country to shake off the yoke of the Russian Empire. Historically, Russia had always been strategically interested in gaining Finnish territory, since the countries share the same border close to St. Petersburg, or it was unknown during the Soviet era Leningrad. While Adolf Hitler was transparent with his philosophy, the consumerism was one of Nazi Germany's greatest threat. The USSR's leader Joseph Stalin maintained a greatest interest in staying on Germany's good side, especially as the country's scalous utopia was being slowly built, allowing the extended bloody conflict of the 1917 revolution. In August 1939, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, also known as the Hitler-Stalin Pact, was signed, a non-aggressive treaty designed for Germany and the Soviet Union to the partition Eastern Europe between the two powers. After the agreement, Germany wasted no time invading Poland on September 1, 1939, prompting England and France to declare war against Germany and officially starting World War II. The Soviet Union entered the conflict on the German side when they stormed Poland from its western border in November 1939 after Finland refuses to cede island territories near Leningrad to the USSR. Stalin's military invaded the country and installed a pre-comics puppet government, initiating the Winter War. Lasting until March 1940, the Winter War was the second official conflict of World War II. It ended in a peace agreement between the USSR and Finland known as the Moscow Peace Treaty, with the latter concerned to give out 12% of its territories, while the Finns suffered an estimated 225,000 losses during the Winter War. The developing North country forces vastly better than its Bolshevik aggressors. The USSR lost roughly 2,000 soldiers in the 103-day struggle. Furthermore, the Finnish battalions become renowned for their fire tactics and well-trained troops. With a greater understanding of the climate and topography of their homeland working in their favor of tremendously weakened the US Army, Sisu's title is derived from the traditional Finnish idea of unstoppable determination in the face of great strife. This concept perfectly escalated the invincible spirit of the film's protagonist, Aatami as he come back time and time again throughout Sisu is to empower his Nazis oppressor, embodying the strength of the finalized Finnish people during the war. The USSR's Moscow armistice merited Finland break ties with Germany. After the Moscow Peace Treaty was signed, the USSR continued modeling his Finland through further land grabs and economic involvement, prompting the Finns to join the side of Germany in the June 1941 invasion of the Soviet Union, known as Operation Barbarossa. Nazi troops quickly moved into the Finland to access the Nordic countries' natural resources to aid the war effort, along with using Finland as a more direct land bridge to the northwestern region of the USSR, specifically Landguard. While the integrity of Finland collaborated with the Nazis can be questioned from a modern perspective, many Finns saw this alliance as a partnership against a common enemy spurred by the country's losses since the Winter War. As a result, Finland's resonated fight against the USSR with the Germans on their side become known as the Continuation War. While Finland succeeds in regarding some of its territories lost to the USSR during the Continuation War by 1940, the Finnish military was become developed as its contribution to the combat at the Eastern Front in the USSR. It eventually became clear that Germany and Eastern Finland would fail in their domination of the Soviet Union. In September 1944, the Moscow Armistice was drawn up by the USSR, which would again require Finland to hand over strategic territories and mandate that the Finns break off the diplomatic ties with Germany. Sisu focused on the Lapland War between Finland and Nazi Germany. The Moscow Armistice led to the Lapland War fought between Finland and Nazi Germany. As the Finns expelled the determined Nazi troops as they made their way back westward after interim and defeat, another brief conflict, the Lapland War lasted just 7 months but left much destruction in its wake. While the German expulsion from Finland began relatively peacefully, the Nazis eventually began to employ violent sources, earth-tastic, destroying roads as they traveled over them and positioning boundaries landmines to delay and destroy the ensuing Finnish troops. Shortly after, the Scots are strategic by the Germans begin to target all Finnish building structure except churches and hospitals, devastating Finns throughout the north of the country, particularly in the Lapland region. The harsh brutality of the German troops as they visited Finland during the Lapland War is where Sisu centered in historical focus, with the Nazis' appalling treatment of the Finns clearly portrayed through the hardship faced by the Finns' unlikely hero and his even more expected sidekick, the Finnish female convicts and the German have abducted. An aesthetic yet highly satisfying, was thrilling and the highlight of frequently forgotten aspect of the World War II. Sisu Movie of a fantastically entertaining experience that will have audience remembering Jalmari Helander's name and checking out the Finnish filmmaker's other movies. Outlandishly comic and is grossly violent, Sisu delivers something special for any audience, elevating the movie with a certain universality that is bound to please many viewers. Since its April 28 theatrical release in the United States, Sisu had respectively earned over $7 million, contributing to its worldwide earning of just over $14 million. However, if you were not able to catch Sisu during its theatrical run, the film is available on VOD and is now streaming stars. It has been described as the Finnish John Wick for many reasons, like John Wick, Aatami Korpi. The protagonist of the movie Sisu is someone you don't mess with, especially if she happened to harm his dog. The second is entirely different, as Sisu is sent in Finland during World War II, but the mystery around the soldiers is still authentic. People had important questions: what does Sisu mean? What's the movie meaning? And what does he say at the end? Let's discover it together. As the movie tries to explain at the beginning and through the world of the Finnish women talking to the Nazi soldier, Sisu is a Finnish concept whose meaning cannot be translated into English. It refers to the strength, perseverance and determination of someone who never gives up. As Aatami Korpi proves in the movie, whatever you try against him, he will never surrender. He is not immortal. He just refuses to die, and every attempt to help him makes him stronger. The story of Aatami Korpi is explained by the German soldier in the middle of the movie. He was once a Finnish commando who lost his family and home fighting against the Russians. After that, he became a legendary one-man death squad. Russian soldier nicknamed him Koshai, the Immortal. Alongside his revenge path, he killed more than 300 Russian soldiers. And when in the movie Sisu, he crossed the course of the Nazi military division that wants to steal his god, he slowly exterminates all of them one after the other. Aatami Korpi doesn't say a single word during the whole plot of Sisu until we arrive at the ending. What does he say at the end of Sisu? He speaks Finnish to the guard in the bank after hanging all his gold. The words were, "In cash, big bills, thanks," so it's not so damn heavy to carry around. The meaning behind these words has explained the whole movie message. Aatami was just going on with his life, not looking for any problem, but the Nazis attacked him, trying to steal the money, which was unexpectable to him. His war against the Nazi division was only a reaction to their attack. If they had not started this, nothing would have happened. With World War II nearly ending, farmer soldier Aatami Korpi discovers gold in Lapland, Finland. He encounters a group of Nazis on his way to a bank to attempt to cash in the gold. They try to steal his findings while keeping female prisoners from the lost town they destroyed. Sisu's narrative is as straightforward as one can get. The film starts with an unnecessary voice-over narrating the state of the world. This feels out of the palace and seems like that the movie doesn't have faith in the audience naturally understanding the plot. Once Aatami crosses paths with the Nazis, through the action never stops and manages to maintain its high-octane tension. Writer-director Jalmari Helander delivers a tight 90-minute on-the-road revenge flick. He captures an almost slasher-like sensation for our antagonist's perspective. Fine choreographer Olaketi and Helander come up with innovative ways to stage scenery where Aatami can easily take down Nazis. Helander takes small-scale action and makes it feel large. From underwater set pieces to a field of explosive mines, they are always something that keeps you engaged with the edge of your seat. The action might not be as kinetic as what you would normally see in the John Wick or Mission Impossible, although it remains fun. Aksel Hennie, the Marine as Bruno, is a key component to making the set piece work here. He is the leader of the Nazi group, and his constant fear and annoyed at Aatami's action seals the brutal kills. The miner, his dogs, and the prisoners. Jorma Tommila as Aatami turns in some impressive work. His role and any kind of dialogue, forcing him to rely on his physicality. Tommila's screen presence makes the films massively entertaining, as you can never predict what will be in his next move. This makes set piece more fun since the movie managed to get genuine reaction from its audience anytime Aatami cheats death. Tommila is paired with a loyal companion in the form of the dog, just like Keanu Reeves in John Wick. This feels more like a gimmick rather than to help further our protagonist's arc or move the story forward. That doesn't ruin the movie whatsoever through. The supporting cast alongside star Jorma Tommila brings a sense of urgency on the screen. The actors portraying the Nazis attempt to bring personality to their characters, especially when they are being visually murdered. Then there are the female prisoners led by Ino, played by Mimosa Willamo, that find the film almost forget about them in two acts, but they have got a fun role to play in the climax that extremely satisfying to watch. It is hard to picture anybody having Sisu in their favorite list of 2023 once the year is finished. That said, Sisu stands out as a film but exactly known what is, and it's only concerned with and one thing, entertaining. Jalmari Helander showcases he can execute this version and with great imagination, making a name to watch for. It's no matter class in action filming, but there's a lot of fun to be had seeing an old man killing Nazis. 3.5 from 5 stars. Jalmari Helander Situ is now playing in selected theaters. Where to watch the movie? Sisu is the Finnish war movie that has had many clamoring to know where it's available to watch, and the ultra-violent revenge film continued to shock and it reaches a much wider audience. Originally making its debut as part of the Midnight Madness block, the 2022 Toronto International Film Festival, Sisu follows a Finnish prospector in the dying days of World War II who has a harrowing encounter with retreating German soldier. Part historical war epic and part classic revenge movie, Sisu surprised audience with its over-the-top violence and gritty execution that left many Jews gap. Despite its midnight movie reputation, Sisu received a head of positive praise from critics who applaud the film's use of scant storytelling as a platform for the unbelievably gaudy action sequence. Though it falls in the category of the John Wick clone in many ways, Sisu earns its place by giving the viewer a visual feast that is unique to its Scandinavian setting. Amid the history and gods, there is a playful sense of humor that is illustrated by the fact that the action sequences often go just a bit over the line in a homage to a grand house cinema. Where to stream the Sisu? Well, the Sisu movie is available to stream. Exactly where to watch it isn't as simple as most of cinema's biggest blockbusters. The Finnish action stream exclusively on Stars and it's a part of the cable network's growing list of the films on their and movie streaming service. The movie is available to stream for cable customers who already pay for Stars through the Stars app. So potential customer who don't have cable can also pay for Stars at an individual streaming service. Star lowered their price in August 2023 from $74 a year to $69 a year, while many other streamers were actually jacking up their prices. Sisu joins a host of other exciting content and Stars, the network that is notable for original series The Power American Gods and the epic fantasy romance series Outlander. Sisu is a Finnish word used to describe extraordinary bravery and resilience during extreme level of adversity, with no true literal equivalent in English who better to showcase its meaning on screen than Finnish director and screenwriter Jalmari Helander. In this feature, Jorma Tommila stars as Aatami Korpi, a Winter War veteran and gold miner living in the wildlands of Lapland. When Korpi uncovers a life-changing amount of gold, he must traverse off the minefields and escape Nazi platoon to cash in the hefty prize. In all its nonsensical glory, Helander's historical action film is full of surprises and grief. Sisu is a beautiful story about poor determination while containing epic action sequence for superfans of the genre. Told in 7 chapters, Helander's script is as mighty as his racial character. We first meet Korpi living in isolation on the fields of Lapland with his dog. With the echoes and destruction of war surrounding him, he spends his days and nights searching for gold in the land that's one breathed life. Helander's storytelling is sensational and captures a beautiful devastation in his early captures. His camera highlights picturesque landscape that reflect an ugly history, yet it centers on one man's remarkable journey of strength and survival. These competing elements are often told in parallel, but their juxtaposed reflection after execution, the inspiring sentiments that beautifully manifest themselves as the story progresses. Chapter 2 and 3 continue the epic storytelling by ramping up the action, usher in a compelling story that energizes us to no end. At the point, Korpi has found his gold and now he must survive many fields as run-ins with Nazi soldiers to cash in his discoveries. The first piece of dialogues come in at around the 11-minute mark, in which commanding officer Bruno Helldorf prevents his soldier from killing Korpi as he is riding to his death anyway. Little do as to know that words come in copious amount of Nazi carnage here. Helland amplifies his intention to detail through his action sequence. There are pretty violent scenes and smart fight choreography that is gritty and it is entertaining. There's a point in Sisu where the entertaining feature veers into outlandish clarity. Oftentimes, sequences become a bit unrealistic and are accompanied by a dramatic score. These moments come at a time in which feels as all the hope is lost of the Korpi as he is faced with a losing battle. But of course, this is a film about unreliable resistance and technology. Without these elements, the film would still have worked, but it would lose the magic it possesses simply for taking itself too seriously. Helander pairs these scenes that extended and alternating close-up for characters in battle, reminiscence of dudes in old westerns, while effective at demonstrating the adversity cops faces. It gets a little silly at times, still no denying the compelling nature of the film overall. With very little dialogue throughout Sisu, it might be difficult to imagine the film doing as compelling as described. But thanks to an easy to follow script with Helander destruction, consider the movie an epic fantasy worth watching on the big screen. There's a third component that holds together the entire film, that's Jorma Tommila.